Right, how you doing? Just a lead-in anxiety. I'm gonna struggle explaining it. I come across quite extroverted, and it ain't true. Yesterday I went to Norwich City with family to pick up a laptop. I used to live in Norwich City. I lived in Norwich City for years. It's no secret I don't like Norwich City. Never really liked Norwich City. I've been there for reasons or people, not because I like the city. And as we were heading towards the city, everything in my head started going wrong. Everything started going wrong. All of these really kind of just negative emotions just kind of welled up. The heart rate started going up, cold sweats, you name it. I felt terrible. I just wanted to, if it was an option, I wanted to turn around and run, and I couldn't. And we got to the shop, and I came across as incredibly extroverted. I was just talking, making random jokes, and I do that a lot, but this time it was probably to cover the of it all. I think all of this really started for me probably early 2000s, in my late teens, early 20s. I was a cocky, arrogant bellend. No two ways about it. I made some pretty big mistakes. My ego just got the better of me, and some negative things happened. And you know what? 17 years later, or more, clearly I'm still not over it. I'm just still not over some of these things. It's one of those grooves whereby to you it's a significant moment. It's a big moment in your life, a defining moment. And you hope it means something to someone else too. But it turns out to them, it was just literally a footnote, a tiny little note, a scribble at a margin for them. But for you, it meant so much. And I think that's where part of this anxiety comes from. Because after coming back from the city yesterday, and I did not expect to feel as terrible as I did, I have been completely brown bread all day today. Tired, sick, dizzy, pain, appetite through the floor. Just, I started the day going, yeah, the day, great. And then through the floor. Didn't realise so much about the anxiety stuff either until probably only a few years ago, really. I think I did a pretty good job of tricking myself about it. The wife and I went to a wedding. We weren't living in the city at the time. We'd moved away from the city. And we get off the train to go as we're in the city. And I'm suited and booted for this wedding, which makes me feel uncomfortable. It's people I don't really know all that well. Friends of the wife. And as we're heading towards the venue, I am rocking a brutal cold sweat. Like, I'm nervous as all hell. Loads of people have put prerequisites on, like these, is that the right word? A load of people have put, like, stipulations on things in my life, whereby, like, hey, yo, if you do X, Y, Z, this is going to happen. If these people don't like you, this is the thing that's, like, done, right? This wasn't the case with this wedding, but, like, I don't do well around new people. I am very abrasive. I'm an opinionated motherfucker. I make the most brutal of jokes. I've got an incredibly dark sense of humour. Self-deprecating humour is definitely a thing as well. I'm not for everyone. I'm like a Marmite person. And all these people, I don't like crowded events. Not a huge fan of weddings either, from a long, long, long time ago. And going to this wedding was just like, the world started colliding. And I ain't gonna lie, like I said, I felt absolutely shit before I walked in there. Then I started drinking. That didn't help any, right? And I ended up in a right state by the end of the night. I had to come home. But I felt so terrible. There are certain foods I can't eat, certain things I can't drink. Just the nerves kick in, the speech goes. It's terrible. And years later, another event similar happened. It was my cousin's wedding. But this time I decided I wasn't going to drink. But I felt the exact same way. Cold sweats, dizziness, stomach in knots, wanting to throw up if I didn't throw up, and that has been a thing, struggling to talk, keeping things straight, and it was absolutely brutal. And there have been things that now it's just I tie negative feelings to places. Negative events will be tied to a place, and it's kind of like I go back to Norwich City and everything just like a tidal wave just comes back. All of the times I was a dickhead, all of the times that I got into arguments, all the times that I made big mistakes, all just well up and just drown me. It's just the pressure, it just feels absolutely awful. But now I'm starting to associate these things with other little bits. And like I say, with weddings, I really struggle with weddings and gatherings and stuff like that, and just it's really exhausting to the point that now I just want to be left alone. I really struggle with just being out in public. The idea of going to pay a cashier freaks me the fuck out. The idea of having to go and talk to someone I don't know freaks me the fuck out. I'll motor mouth. I'm not explaining this very well, but this morning I woke up and realised, there's nothing I can do about any of that stuff. But it still hits so hard. I can't do anything about my conduct back in college. I can't do anything about how I was in university. I can't, God, I wish I could repair relationships damaged all those years ago. People have moved on. The things that I want, the things that I feel tie these emotions to me, those things can't be repaired. I'm a very sentimental motherfucker. I know some people, sometimes I can say to someone, hey, just get over it, man. There's nothing you can do about it. I take a very stoic stance on a lot of stuff. Stoic or nihilistic, but I know that there are just some things you can't, they're very difficult to let go of. The ifs and buts of life. What if I'd done that? What if this had have happened instead? What about that one time I didn't make that decision? And it can be crippling. It really can be. Understand as well that in my early 20s, I was the kind of guy that would say, mate, anxiety, stress, depression, such stupid things. But I'm clinically depressed. I suffer with clinical boredom. Anxiety is a bitch for me. Like I said, I feel physically sick with the idea of just going to Norwich City. Will I bump into XYZ person? There's a city of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Will I bump into that one person? Will someone recognise me from a long time ago? I used to get into a lot of trouble in the city. I used to get threatened all the time and just everything. It was beautiful times. Like I said, I was an asshole. But it's in all of those mistakes that, because some of them they cause anxiety, but if I didn't care, I wouldn't learn. You won't learn. All right. So let's say, for example, you fuck something up. If you don't care, you'll blame it on someone else. If you hold value in the thing that you did wrong, or you upset someone or whatever, if you hold value in that person, you will, especially if you're not an egotistical, narcissistic wank stain, you will look back and perhaps go, yeah, that was my fault. That was no one else, that was me. Had I have not cared about a lot of this stuff, I wouldn't be where I am now. And someone said, well, where is that? Ask anyone that knew me back in the early 2000s versus now, and they'll say, wow, you've proper mellowed out. You've chilled out a lot. I mean, I'm still a combative, abrasive wanker, but not as bad as before. You know, I'm not always right. I'll do what's right no matter the cost. And that's not always what I want. I don't mind being the bad guy. I don't always have to be the winner. But that doesn't help with anxiety any. It hasn't helped with anxiety any. It's another one of those, if you're feeling it, you ain't the only one. You know, the people who are stood there in the suit, proper, you know, doing well, lots of money, nice car, nice house, that kind of thing, they could be just as terrified as the person who doesn't have any of those things. You know, we're only human, after all. I don't really think anyone's quite as confident as they make out. Yeah, I didn't think any of that was still going to hit as hard as it did. I really didn't. Even as like, you know, a couple of years back, just things weren't great. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. I can handle it. No. No. If you don't care, you won't change. You won't mature. I looked at myself when I was 16. I look back in time 10 years and go, what a fucking moron. When I turned 26, I look back and I thought to myself, when you were 16, you're an asshole. Right? In fairness, when I was 26, I thought the 24-year-old me was an asshole. When I hit my 30s, I definitely thought that me in my 20s was a cocky, arrogant douchebag still. Although people on the outside said there were changes. And I imagine in my 40s, I will be embarrassed of the person that I am now. I don't know how to fix anxiety, or if it even really needs to be fixed. It's just a show of things that have happened in your life, that they still impact you, that they still hold value. It just, as I say, it just surprised me how drained I felt today, and all I did was sit in a car and drive to the outskirts of Norwich City. I mean, we drove past a few people's houses I knew. We drove past my old house. And just all of a sudden, I wanted to run. It was funny how just so much stuff was just, I remembered so much stuff just from driving through that city. We don't often hold on to the good stuff. The good stuff just kind of gets washed away. The bad shit is what we hold on to. And some of it ain't even all that serious. I just think to myself, like, what if I'd have answered that phone call? What if I hadn't have answered that phone call? What if I'd have gone here when I was asked to? What if I didn't say this when that was probably not the right thing to say? What if I'd have done this rather than that? What if I'd have stood up for this person rather than that person? What if I didn't hold this view at that time? Just little things like that. Eventually, life changes. So I say to people, debts have to be repaid. Eventually. And that will be everything. Everything you do in life is a debt, whether it be a physical debt, an emotional debt, a financial debt, whatever it is, something has to be repaid. It's one of those you just want to find a way to not feel the way you feel. Can't help with that one. I don't think I'll ever get peace on that, to be fair. On half of the stuff. I keep getting told I'm a better person. I don't know if I believe it. No one's perfect. Life is a learning experience all the way up until the end. It's just whether or not you can come out of it at the end of it with a reasonable balance. There's always something different you could have done. There's always more you could do. But you have to be at peace with who you are and where you are, and learn. I don't really have much of a point. I just wanted to get off my chest how I've done nothing. The wife and I have looked after a friend's dog today. Our boy Ben came round and did Ben around the house. He's a clumsy old boy, getting everywhere, sniffing everything. The boys went out. And I've just spent the day sat with the wife on the sofa watching X-Men films of all things. There's even things now. I just sit and I go, look, I could have been talking to the wife. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? Or as we were going through Norwich City, I remembered like silly little arguments I'd had with the wife. It's like, Was she right? Should I have just let that one go? Was I right? Should I have pressed and kept going? Always round and round and round in circles. And it can be crippling. It can be crippling. So if anyone ever says to you they're depressed or they're nervous or they're anxious or whatever, don't force it. I don't know. It's crazy how stress and anxiety how they manifest, all the different things that they can cause. Like I said, when I was in my early 20s, I thought, well, that was bunk. And in my late 30s now, I have trouble with all of it. But I hope you're all well. If anyone has anything they want to rant about, by all means, give me a shout. And I'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one. I still hold dear everything I did wrong that helped me be who I am now. All the things I learned from. Apologies I should have made that I couldn't. Arguments I got into. Friendships broken. Friendships made. Sometimes it's overwhelming. And as I say, when a significant moment to you turns out to be nothing but a footnote for someone else, that's a weird one to deal with. Not very well explained at all. Fuck it. One day I'll figure it out. I'll tell you.